Well, welcome. My name is Velton Showell, and I'm excited that you're here. And I have an opportunity to share with you some of the things that I've been working on and some of the things that I think can help you in your business and help you move forward in anything that you're trying to do. Just to tell you a little bit about me, my name is Velton Showell, as I said, and I spent about 30 years in corporate America learning and researching and working with some amazing people in leadership who taught me things, who showed me things, who made me go through things that helped develop me and the character and the person that I am today. Learning is a lifelong situation. You should always thrive or strive to learn something new every day. And to help with that, personally, what I've done is I've developed the Leadership Dynamics Academy. The Leadership Dynamics Academy is an offshoot from a book that I just recently wrote called Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership. And it talks about and addresses the principles that every leader should understand. Because one of the things about leadership, it's not about strategy, it's not about tactics, it's not about all about revenue, or it's not all about resources. It's about people, dealing with people, understanding people, what makes people go, their why, and their mission in life. You know, one of my favorite poets was Maya Angelou, and Maya Angelou said, "People may forget what you say, people may even forget what you do, but they will never forget how you make them feel." So today I thought I'd spend a few minutes with you and talk to you about one of the most vital parts of making someone feel good, which is communication. We have to communicate effectively as leaders. We have to communicate effectively as people, because communication is how we get our thought across, how we show people that we care, how we show people what our expectations are, but also, and this is one of the most important things, we have to understand that communication is a two-way street. Not only are we giving out information to people, but people are getting information from us. We've got to give people the opportunity to share their thoughts and ideas with us. When I was a kid, my great-grandfather told me something. He sat me on his knee one day and he said, "Sonny boy, let me tell you something." He said, "God gave you 2 ears and one mouth to listen twice as much as you speak. So you've got to be willing to listen to what other people have to offer you so that you can then understand them better and find a way to communicate your needs to them while you're fulfilling the needs that they have." So I've prepared as a small PowerPoint presentation today to go with that thought process, that communication is a two-way street, and understanding how to communicate with other people. Communicating with other people is the key to your success and the key to your success. So give me a second. Let me fire up this PowerPoint presentation real quick and we'll get started. I'm going to share my screen with you, and then we're going to get you in tune to the PowerPoint. Yeah, come on now. Hopefully it's cooperating. Yeah, it is, but it took me a little further along than I wanted to be. So let's go back to the initial screen. Come on. We'll get there some way, somehow. All right, just give it a second and we'll be there in a second. This is live and in Technicolor. So it's not like we are doing this in advance. Okay. There we go. We're there. We're back. Okay. As you can see, the slide says Leadership Dynamics, the Principles of Leadership. Let me move this out of the way real quick. Hold on. All right. There you go. You got it. And it says communication is the key to effective leadership. It's the core. It's the principle. It's the one thing that allows you to operate at your best. your ability to communicate with other people. Let's go to the next slide. There we go. So the key to effective communication is 3 steps. And these are 3 very important steps that we all need here. You might want to write these down. Number 1, communicate your information. Tell people what it is you want them to know, what it is you want them to understand. Figure out a way to send out that information. We're going to talk about sending out that information in a few minutes, but sending out that information in a way that they can see it, hear, understand it, and acknowledge it. So first you want to communicate the information. Then you want to check and make sure they understand it. You know, sometimes they give you that look like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what that means. Or there may be something in their body language. It may be something in their response. It may be that they're looking away and not paying attention. You have to make sure that they are in sync with the message that you're trying to deliver. So number 1, communicate the information. Number 2, check for their understanding. And number 3, just to make sure, communicate the information again. What you're looking for is an acknowledgement. What you're looking for is a, oh, okay, or or a look, a nod, something that tells you that your message has been received. Okay, all right. Here's the thing. There are 3 different learning styles, primary learning styles, okay? And a lot of people learn differently depending on where they are in life. I'm going to move this a little bit again, okay? So there is the visual learner, there's the auditory learner, and there's the kinesthetic learner. We're going to talk about each of those. Because here's the thing. When you're communicating with somebody, if they don't process information in the format that you've communicated the information, there's a good chance that they don't understand what it is you mean. They misinterpret what it is you're looking for or how you're looking for them to respond, react, or go forward. So let's go forward, speaking of that, okay? Each person has their preferred style of learning. You know, as I said, they're visual learners, they're auditory learners, and they're kinesthetic learners, and they're distinctly different. Now, as I also said, some people use a combination of these styles to really interpret information to its largest extent. So, okay? Here's the thing. 65% of the population, believe it, 65% of people are visual learners. That's why you see a lot of marketing commercials on TV, because they get you in tune to seeing it visually. You see billboards, you see posters, articles, and marketing in magazines, because people are, 65% of the population is visual. They want to see how it looks. Okay? 30% of the population is auditory. Let's step back for a minute, because I want to go back to visual. Here's the thing. When you're talking to a visual learner, I want to make sure that you understand this. There are certain things that trigger them in their strengths. Okay? The first is they follow directions very well. Visual learners follow directions extremely well. They grasp the information, especially if it has a visual support mechanism. They visualize objects. If it's something that you're presenting to as a salesperson, you want to let them touch it. You want to let them feel it. You want to let them see it. You want to let them get in tune with it. It's just like when you go to buy a car. A visual person, they want to see the car. They want to feel the car. They want to touch the car. They probably even want to go on a test drive, because they have a great balance and they need alignment. They need to be in alignment with it. By aligning themselves, that's how they get into it, by touching and feeling it and feeling good about it. Okay? They're also very organized. They love organization. If you get them in a disorganized situation, they're very uncomfortable. So you want to make sure that when you're communicating with them or presenting to them, you present in a very organized fashion. You want to make sure that it's powerful information and it's strategically put together in a great format. They like notes. You can give them notes. They love studying notes from a presentation. They're book readers. They love to read. They love to process information. Okay? So remember the people in school when you were back in class and the professor gave an assignment, they gave you the syllabus, they give you their books, but certain individuals got the study guide and they worked with the study guide. That's a visual learner because they process information better that way. And they like to study alone. They don't like crowds. They're not into studying in study groups as often as some of the other learners. So visual learners, as I said, are interesting because they like visual communication. They like reading stuff for themselves. They like touching and feeling. So remember that 65% of the population are visual learners. Okay? Auditory learners, we talked about them. 30% of the population are auditory learners. 30%. So now let's do the math here. 65% are visual, 35% are auditory. That means 95% of the population. If you get these two down, you're communicating with 95% of the population, at least a surface communication. Because as I said earlier, some people use two different styles of communication that are matched together to really process information effectively. So let's talk about the auditory learner for a minute. Okay, they understand subtle changes. So if you make just a little change, they pick it up. If you make a little adjustment, they pick it up. They like writing responses versus verbalizing responses. They are the kind of people that when you ask them a question or you ask them for information, they're more apt to communicate back to you in an email, in a memo, in a letter, something where they've been able to sit down, gather their thoughts, and then communicate their response back to you in writing. These all people also like taking tests, but they like oral exams. They like to be able to talk through an examination versus writing their response. Now think about that also. It's a little different when you've got a person that you're giving an evaluation and you ask them to go write an evaluation versus the part of the evaluation where they have the ability to communicate back to you orally. They'll do the written part, but the real meat of the communication with them is going to be in the oral exchange because that's what they like to do. These people like to tell stories. They're storytellers. They like to give you information and make a point. You know, you've heard it said many times, never make a point without a story, never tell a story without making a point. These are your auditory learners. This, if you're a speaker, you're a trainer, you're a coach, you're an executive, if you've got the ability to make a point and attach a story to it, you can reach the auditory people on your team, in your audience, or in the community very, very easily. These people also like solving problems. Now, a lot of your auditory learners, because they're problem solvers, are probably very good at being entrepreneurs. Because as an entrepreneur, the first thing that you have to figure out is how does your business, how does your product, how does your service solve someone else's problem? Because this is something that as an auditory learner or auditory communicator, you're very good at. The other thing is this group, this part of the population loves to work in groups. They're not that one-off person. They're not like your visual learners who don't like groups. They like groups. They like a lot of people around them. But prime example is if they want to tell stories, who are they going to tell stories to if there's nobody around them? They're storytellers. They like people. They like that exchange back and forth, that mutual exchange of information. Okay? So now we've covered two. And before we move to the third, the other thing I want to tell you, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the auditory learner, because here's the thing. They like participating in classes, or if they're students. If you've got an academy like the Leadership Dynamics Academy, the people that are auditory learners in there want to respond and they want to have an exchange. So the bottom line is, if you've got an academy, if you've got a class, Facebook Live is good for these kinds of people, or any way that they can communicate back and forth. They're the people that are putting the messages in your feed. They're the people that are reaching out to you because they want your feedback. They want to have a conversation. These are the people who like to make recordings. They will record your notes. They will take a look at your Facebook Live, or they'll take a look at your digital presentations, and they will replay them over and over and over again, because they're listening for certain things. They're listening to the stories that you tell. They're listening for the information that you're communicating, and they're listening to it from an auditory standpoint. Auditory is about listening. Okay? Now let's go to our final group for the kinesthetic learners. Only 5% of the population are kinesthetic learners. These people like, even more so than your visual learners, they like to touch it. They like to feel it. They like to get involved with it. They like to really almost become a part of it. You can see the picture here. Here's a gentleman who is actually hard at work touching what it is he's working with or working on. These people are very good with their hands. They're very good at crafts. They have great hand-eye coordination. They pick up things very, very quickly if they get a chance to touch them. They love to experiment with things. I talked about test driving. These are the people that, yeah, they like to test drive, but they want to really get into it. If you tell that a kinesthetic learner that the car goes from 0 to 60 in a certain amount of time, they want to see, they want to feel it, they want to test it, they want to see if it is really true. They love sports, they love arts, they love drama, they're actors. These people are very, very, very talented. So when you're communicating with a kinesthetic learner, you got to get them involved. You got to get them in the mix with you. You've got to get them so that they feel comfortable with what's going on. You just can't talk to them. You just can't show them visually. You just can't keep them out there. You got to let them become a part of the process, getting them involved in the process. And I'll tell you a little story about kinesthetic learners. And I think this is why kinesthetic learners are not a unique group, because I think kinesthetics is in every one of the learning styles. One of the things that I learned very early about writing strategic plans and writing strategies and tactics for a team or for a group. It's easy as a leader for you to write the plan and then give it to everybody sometimes, because you know what you want, you know where you want to go, and you know how you perceive you need to get there. The issue is you need the buy-in of the team. So what you need to do, or what we need to do, is to give them the vision and then let them fill in the blanks. Sit down with your team. Allow them to step out of their immediate situation and step into the role of entrepreneur or leader or decision maker of the process, and let them give their input, let them get involved, let them be the boss for a short period of time or a long period of time, it's up to you, and let them totally own the concept. Because number one, once somebody owns something, you've got their buy-in. They own the formation and the process, so now they're in touch, they're in tune. So their kinesthetic mindset allows them to be involved, allows them to get a certain amount of good feeling based on their ability to make the decisions as to what's going on, what's going to happen. So even if it's a visual learner, either it is an auditory learner, they get that kinesthetic child inside of them, so to speak, has a little bit of recognition, accolades, or involvement. So you want to make sure that you allow them to do that. Okay, these are some of your greatest actors are kinesthetic learners. So understand. Remember, I'm going to recap the three areas of learning: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Now, why did I ask? Why did I go that way when I'm talking about communication? I opened up the conversation and said communication is a two-way street. You give out information, or you have an idea, you have an objective, you know where you want to go. But it's the people around you or the person that you're communicating to or with that needs to be able to process that information to either respond verbally, to respond in action, or to work with you to resolve or diffuse an issue, a problem, or an area of opportunity. So you have to be sure as the leader that you have gotten to this person. They really thoroughly understand what it is you need them to say, do, or get involved with. That's the other side of the street when you're talking about communication. We spend a lot of time working on our verbal skills and our presentation skills, but do we make sure that our verbal skills and our presentation skills, more importantly, are in sync with the people around us? The greatest leaders, the greatest speakers, the greatest entrepreneurs understand the value of good, effective communication. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to give you a free gift. I'm going to give you a free gift because I really enjoyed being here today and spending some time with you. If you want to learn more about what we do, the Leadership Dynamics Academy is available. You can see the URL at the bottom of the screen, and you see the logo on the screen also. But here's the free gift. If you text the word leadershipology, yes, what is leadershipology? It's the study of leadership. Biology is the study of the human body. Sociology is the study of how people interact in society. Technology is the use of machines and other automated things to solve problems. But there's a study behind all of it. Theology is the study. We study leadership. We study the concepts. We study the inner workings. We study the feelings of being a leader and how to lead other people. So if you text the word leadershipology to 954-329-0281, I'll give you a free gift. It's one of the things that we like to do. We like to share information, we like to give away information, and we like to keep you in tune to where we're going and what we're doing. It's not about us, it's about you. So again, text the word leadershipology to 954-329-0281. Appreciate your time. Thanks very much. Again, I'm Velton Showell. I am the founder and chief strategist of the Leadership Dynamics Academy. We look forward to seeing you at the top. Make it a great day.